This is the Iowa Weather Report for Wednesday, October 2nd, 2013. Now our first look at the Zero-Z GFS model run. At 1 p.m. this afternoon, we have some energy moving into the Pacific Northwest, and that's the energy that'll be bringing us some very active weather later in the week. Most of the rest of the energy is up in Canada. We have a bit of a west to southwesterly flow. The Gulf is starting to open up, and there could be some isolated activity, especially late into the day into the evening in the southern and southwestern counties of the state. Otherwise, increasing clouds with highs in the 70s and lower to middle 80s. But Thursday, it'll be quite rainy, somewhat cloudy across the state with highs likely in the 70s. There'll be a boundary nearby, and that boundary from that low pressure center to our southwest could trigger some severe weather. There is a slight risk of severe weather for Thursday and Thursday night from central and central Iowa westward through western Iowa into eastern Nebraska. You can see the probability is pretty much standard for a slight risk, a 15% area. Damaging wind, or large hail, will be the main threat with damaging wind later. But Friday, this is Friday evening, and you can see this system starts to dig in across the plain states. The flow will be coming in out of the south and west, and that could be bringing some severe weather around here on Friday. A slight risk of severe weather from Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, through all of Iowa except the far southeast. And you can see the enhanced area, the 30% area, which with a hatched area for southern Minnesota, southwestern Wisconsin, into northern Iowa and southwestern Iowa. When we take a look at some parameters, here is the surface-based CAPE at 4 p.m. Friday afternoon. You can see CAPE values between 2 to about 27 or 2800 joules. Capping will be very little, if any. Well, when we take a look at this is the lifted index at the same time, 4 p.m. Any red numbers you see, or negative numbers, means the atmosphere is very unstable. It looks to be very humid as well, if this is to be right. And then when we take a look at this is the supercell composite, and you can see the red areas in southwest up into central and northern Iowa, well over 7, so it could be quite an active Friday across the state, and maybe even Thursday as well. And when we take a look at the surface-based chart here Friday evening, you can see the low pressure center maybe a skosh further south than yesterday's run. Otherwise, it'll be moving into the state late for Friday night, and then by Saturday, it'll be starting to occlude over western Wisconsin. There could be some backwash clouds. It'll be very blustery Saturday. Highs will be pretty much holding in the 50s. It's going to be very chilly. And while this is taking place, a tropical system is going to be racing northward through the eastern Gulf, and it'll be over Georgia here on Sunday as the system moves out. Temperatures will start to moderate at least towards 60 or the low to mid 60s here Sunday. And then Monday, temperatures will be maybe approaching 70 in some areas as the winds turn southwesterly ahead of another front, but this front's not going to be bringing a whole heck of a lot of anything except a shift of the winds to the west or northwest lightly, as the system with the moisture will be up in Canada. Otherwise, temperatures will be, well, maybe in the by this point near seasonal levels in the upper 60s to low 70s across the state. But at the week from today, you can see a trough is digging in once again, some energy moving through the northern Rockies and the western high plains. And with that'll be bringing a storm system close by. Low pressure center, in this case, is well further south than the last one, with some rain and snow well off to our west and coming in our direction. As we move into the extended period here on October the 13th, we have kind of a broad trough over the Great Lakes in New England. The main storm track is in that vicinity. And most of the energy, though, is well up into Canada, and you can see a fairly decent potent storm system moving through eastern Canada. Lots of cold air just waiting to just crash into the Great Lakes and Northeast from that high pressure well to our north. And then as we get to the end of the forecast on October the 17th, we have a little system moving through the state with the slight northwesterly flow we got across the area. And this will be fairly weak if this is to be right. Could produce maybe a shower. I doubt we're going to have any thunder with this, as it's getting to be fairly late into the season by this point, with highs likely maybe around 60 at that point. Satellite image from last evening, we had a few clouds well off to our west, some high and mid-level clouds. We had an upper-level low over Louisiana, and some cloudiness across the southern tip of Florida. When we take a look at the Watch 20 map from last evening, we had a frost advisory across most of the state of North Dakota, a winter storm watch in southern and southwestern Montana into far north-central Wyoming, elsewhere fairly quiet. QPF chart, precipitation over the next 5 days through Sunday evening at 7 o'clock, showing rainfall could be significant, between about a half an inch across the far south to maybe upwards of 2+ inches over the north. Anybody could get more than that, though.